Ask Reddit, what's a harsh reality that everybody needs to hear? Some parents just don't love their children. This is why I hate the blanket statement of, you should love your mom and dad, they took care of you and raised you. Like, no, if your parents were abusive or even just extremely narcissistic, they don't really deserve the love they couldn't afford to give you. You don't know what happened, you don't know how those people are when no one's watching, just know it won't just happen. I spent a lot of my early 20s being sad and defeatist, feeling sorry for myself. I always coped with this by telling myself that I'd make something of myself eventually, and meet a woman eventually, and be happy eventually. The truth is, eventually doesn't come if you don't make it come. Improvement has to be proactive. You can end up 40 years old, living with your parents, playing video games all day, and with no motivation. Nothing will prevent that from happening other than you. You gotta walk your dogs. My dogs live for their walks. Working from home really made that blatantly obvious. I used to skip walks sometimes. But after seeing them all day just waiting around to sniff the world, I don't skip walks anymore. That and my one girl is getting older and you realize how much they deserve while they are here. I have doubled the park trips too. Failure is part of life. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. Jean-Luc Picard. Whatever you say can and will be used against you. This saying works in almost every situation. Just because you go out of your way for people, it doesn't mean they will do the same for you. Edit, I didn't expect this comment to get so many upvotes and replies as it has. Thank you for the awards too. For those calling me out saying I shouldn't expect anything back or I'm selfish that I don't go out of my way to help others without expecting anything in return, that's not what my comment said. All I'm saying is, be careful who you drop everything for. Some people will hurt you, and they won't care how you feel about it. The family aspect is a really hard thing to come to terms with, especially when you're raised with the whole blood is thicker than water trope. ETA, please scroll before you post the exact same, that's not the original phrase comment. Someone else posted the history of it, and it is the original phrase. Physical appearance matters. Almost everyone is shallow, and if you are ugly, people might treat you as inferior and you will have disadvantages in almost every aspects of life, i.e. pretty privilege or halo effect, look that up. As an ugly person I confirm I'm an introverted, shy person, but I've had to develop leadership skills because I keep getting forced into leadership roles. Why? Because I'm a tall man with a deep voice. That's legit the only reason I can think of. It's some primal instinct from childhood or something that still gives me more of a say in group settings than I really ought to have. Life is not automatically easier just because you're a good person. Expecting life to treat you well because you are good is like expecting the bull not to charge at you because you are vegetarian. Your life can be changed forever in the blink of an eye. You have to deal with it or die. I'm 62. I went to run errands one day with my beautiful wife of 42 years and I came home 2 hours later a widower. She died of a massive heart attack in the passenger seat. That was about 13 months ago. It's been hard, but I'm still here thanks to some wonderful people in my life. You can love someone with all of your heart and not be loved back in the same way. I wasted a lot of time in my life either being too stupid to learn this or at the very least too stubborn to admit it to myself. Time is the ultimate currency, friend, you can't have more. Spending it on someone is the ultimate show of love, but reciprocation is important to all relationships. Do you think that, after all the time you've spent that has gone unrequited, if this person were to one day realize the potential you've known for so long, that it would feel the way you hope? My experience is that it does not. Go out and live, pursue passions that don't rely on the whims of others. Hopefully somewhere along the way, you find someone you feel strongly about who recognizes the value of the time you want to spend with them. If not, you've still lived a life you can be proud of. Also, truly being in love with someone and letting someone love you because it's the comfortable and easy thing to do are two different things. I just had really strong suspicions that I tried ignoring for a long time. I would do things for him like try anything he wanted sexually, cook for him most nights, keep a list of things he said he liked so I could give good birthday gifts, took initiative when it came to planning dates or taking trips together, pretty much did anything he asked, etc. However, when it came to him, he showed up late to literally everything that was planned with me, despite always being on time for work/class, often flirted with other girls in front of me, forgot my birthday all 3 years and forgot pretty much anything I told him about that was important to me, would take me to parties with his friends, and if any of them harassed me he just shrugged it off, getting my ass grabbed by his friend right in front of him and him not caring was really something, wouldn't initiate anything romantic or even really just friendly with me unless it was about his sexual pleasure, threatened to leave me anytime I told him he'd hurt my feelings, would pretend he was busy anytime I asked for help with something, etc. It's embarrassing that I stayed for so long, but I thought it was all I deserved. Now I can see I wasn't valued as a person in that relationship, and I just don't have it in me to get into anything new with someone. Bad things can happen to good people. Good things can happen to bad people. It's unfair. It's life. One of the best scenes from The Office. Ryan, I just don't know what I did wrong. Dwight, look, not everything's a lesson. Sometimes you just fail. While everyone responds to this comment saying variations of the same thing, I'll offer a slightly different take. Just because life is unfair doesn't mean we shouldn't make an effort to be fair. It's easy to take this adage too far and hide behind it. Edit, ITT, people better at saying this than I am. Right? Even as kids we know it's a BS excuse. In high school they tried one of those blanket until you give up the offender punishments on us because somebody was mildly vandalizing school property. I had no idea who was doing it, I wasn't protecting anybody, but I was pissed off at the blanket punishment. We protested in a meeting and staff told us, well, life isn't fair. I was shy and quiet, but this reasoning struck me as so dumb that I spoke up and said yes, but that doesn't mean we go out of our way to make it unfair. Just because a woman has a pretty face, big tits, makes 6 figures, and has a juice ass, does not mean she will make a good wife. Do anybody know a woman like this? I'm willing to try. You might want to talk to PJ Washington first. Most people should not be on social media of any kind because they cannot handle what it does to them mentally. It is not about socialization, it's about corporations monetizing your life. Not everyone likes you. Some people won't like you for very arbitrary reasons, or for no reason at all. It takes way too much of your energy trying to make people like you. Use that energy on yourself and your loved ones. It's a life lesson I learned much later than I could have. It's a Star Trek reference, but it's a very realistic one. It is possible to make no mistake, and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. Sometimes you need to accept you did everything within your power right and it still went bad. And remember that this isn't something to beat yourself up over. These things happen. Edit. Holy hell, did blew up. I'm glad to see so many I needed to hear this comments. I know I needed to hear this the first time I saw this scene. I also like the reverse of that. It is possible to royally F things up, and still win. Your first relationship most likely won't be your last. When I hear young girls say their first boyfriend is the love of their life, I just smile. That was me. Madly in love at 15 and thought we'd be together forever. It makes me laugh. Thankful my first relationship was loving and respectful enough to make me hopeful for the next. I didn't expect mine to be, but 16 years later here we are. The fact that we've grown and changed tremendously is something of which we've remained very conscious, however. Time and transition are inevitable forces which must be treated with due reverence. We do yearly, or more often as needed, state of the relationship check-ins and waited to get married until our late 20s/early 30s. I'm far from a relationship expert and YMF, but it's worked for us so far. Edit to add, seriously, don't get married right out of high school. If we had, our relationship may not still exist. Just because someone is your family doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. Nobody is coming to save you. You have to do it yourself. This is the biggest lesson I've learned in my life. The only person you can really rely on is yourself. That lazy idiot? I'm so screwed. You can become disabled unexpectedly at any point in your life. Make sure you're taking advantage of the abilities you have while you have them. Something that effing traumatized me as a kid was when we were learning about Ray Charles' life in music class. The man is famous for being a blind musician, but what I never knew until that day was the fact that he was neither born blind, nor did he get into a freak accident or something. He was literally just existing one day, and then suddenly his eyes stopped working. Literally lost all ability to see anything permanently out of nowhere, with absolutely nothing he could have done to stop it or prepare for it. It gave me a deep phobia of suddenly becoming blind that took me a while to get over. It is. I saw it happen to my mom in her 50s and then it happened to me in my 20s. Don't let life pass you by. Enjoy every bit of it while you have a body that allows you to do so. Smile, I don't regret any of the things I paid to experience before I got sick. This comment should rise like cream to the top. Seriously, the human body is amazing, resilient, and beautifully intricate. It is also fragile, complicated, and fallible. Never, ever ride in a car with your feet on the dash. Don't light those M80s in your hand. Don't dive headfirst into unfamiliar waters. Life is already trying to kill or maim you, don't give it any help. Signed, someone that has witnessed a handful of level 1 traumas, and studying to become a surgical scrub. I would add to this, keep disabled people in mind when voting or deciding on things like health care, disability benefits, and accessibility measures. I think it's easy for people to go, oh, that doesn't affect me, but we're all one bad day away from being extremely sick, injured, or permanently disabled. And even if you stay mostly able for most of your life, old age will get you. Edit, aw shucks, my first awarded comment. Thanks internet strangers. But seriously, go vote. This one is both harsh and comforting. People don't think about you as much as you think they do. That means that your feelings might be ignored or not considered. People will forget things about you and might not remember things you've done together that were very memorable for you. That can be hard to realize. On the other hand, they probably don't remember that embarrassing thing you did in high school, or they don't care about it. They notice patterns of behaviors, more than occasional bad days that you have. So those times you feel bad about being off with someone, they probably don't think about them, unless they become frequent. Personally, I find that comforting.